What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be getting into calculations for the actual anniversary character, Anaxa. And let me tell you guys, Anaxa is looking like a very, very strong character. Immense single target damage, really good AoE damage, and a lot of utility, sub DPS capabilities. As a DPS, Anaxa literally does it all. So I'm going to go over my initial calculations on our boy Anaxa. So if you enjoy this type of content, let me know by liking the video, leaving a comment section below, and consider subscribing to the channel. Also, check me out on Twitch over at twitch.tv/iSUMMON. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. Click the link in the description. Is going to take you to lootbar.gg. In here, you're going to find your favorite games like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, and Zone Zero, and you can buy their premium currencies at a discounted price. The process is very simple. All you need is your UID and your server, so make sure this information is correct. Then you're going to select the pack that you want to purchase. For me, it's going to be the $99 pack, which here I will be able to save $14 on it, which is a 14% discount. All I have to do is click top up now, make sure that I continue to purchase, and just like that, within minutes you are going to receive your currency directly to your game. Lootbar also has over 13,000 reviews over on Trustpilot with a 4.9 rating, and some of your favorite Hoyo creators like Dave at Times and Mordex Tryhard are also working with Lootbar, so you know they can be trusted. It's really that simple, fast, and easy, so click the link in the description and check out lootbar.gg. All right, I want to preface this video by saying that there are multiple different ways of building Anaxa, but the one I find particularly more interesting is the Quantum Set Defense Ignore Maximizing build, which includes a very free-to-play friendly character called Pella right here, that with her 40% defense ignore and with a light cone of resolution chance and process sweat, Anaxa can get 100% defense ignore pretty easily, and I'll explain how that works. So essentially, Anaxa in his base kit has a 28% defense ignore because he gives 7% defense ignore depending on how many weaknesses the enemy has. So with his ultimate, for example, he can inflict all seven weaknesses, so that'll instantly give him 28% defense ignore. Now, as we discussed, Pella has an ultimate that gives 40% defense ignore to everybody or every enemy on the field, so that's an extra 40. That's already 68. Now, if you add the 16% defense ignore from the resolution chance process sweat light cone, you go from 68 to 84% defense ignore. And if to that you add the Genius of Brilliant Star, which is the old quantum set, which gives you a 20% defense ignore if they're weak to quantum, then you get 104% defense ignore. So you're actually overshooting here. So even if you don't have S5 resolution chance process sweat, you can get away with having almost, if you even have an S1, you have like 94% defense ignore, which is also very strong. So any superimposition of this light cone would work fantastically with this particular setup. And this is, mind you, using Anaxa's free-to-play, or not a free-to-play, 4-star option, which as of right now, I don't know if it's going to be a free-to-play light cone or an event light cone, or if it's just going to be one of those gacha light cones that they release. But this is just using a 4-star light cone with no defense ignore. The rest of the team cast is going to be RMC. RMC is a very good damage buffer. At 36% true damage is a lot of damage amplification. So that's one of the reasons why RMC is so strong in a lot of team comps. You also get 10% crit rate, 60% crit damage, and 16% defense, 16% damage amplified from the light cone. And then also we have a 4-star Ting Yun. Now Ting Yun doesn't have to be E6. You don't need her to give you 60 energy, because even if you get 50 energy from Ting Yun's ultimate, you're still 20 energy away from ulting the very first turn Anaxa is on the field after Ting Yun's ultimate. So you can basic or you can skill, and you're still going to get Anaxa's ultimate pretty much on her on Anaxa's first turn. And then also Ting Yun is one of the better Dance users, because you can use Dance pretty much frame 0 as soon as the fight starts. As far as the build, we went with the crit rate body, because even though he gets 12% crit rate on his traces, it's still not enough to maximize his crit with a crit damage chest. So you are going to need a few crit rate rolls on your substats to maximize your crit rate. You do have a little help from RMC, so in total you have 27% crit rate off the rip without taking into consideration the chest. With the chest, you get to a total of 60% crit rate, so you are going to need about 30 crit rate or more from just the from relic stats and stuff like that. Now, Anaxa is a very attack deprived character, so anything that gives you attack is going to benefit the damage a lot. And you're going to see later on when we do different teams how attack buffing characters really affect them. So we're going to run attack boots, and you're going to want to change this to attack orb, and then this is going to be attack rope as well. In a sub DPS setup, or in a setup that you are going to want to hit more enemies, or in a sustainless comp, you may be able to run energy regen, so you can get more ultimate, so that way you don't get hit as often. But for personal damage, attack is the way to go with Anaxa. As far as the planar set, we went through the Brilliant Arena. Obviously, you get basic damage and skill damage. Most of Anaxa's damage is going to come from his skill, so 20% skill damage is very good. These down here are just going to be substat rolls, so we get 30% from crit damage, 13 from speed, so because we want him a little faster, and then we actually don't need this at all, but we have 13 base speed there, and then we have 27% crit rate from substats, so that gives us a total of 27 actual crit rate coming from the substats. So the build is going to look like this. So 3.2k attack, 94% crit rate, 280% crit damage, 152% damage bonus, 22% wind damage bonus, and then 104% defense ignore. But this is capped at 100%. So the extra 4% means nothing here. It just capped at 100%. As far as the rotation that we did, I kind of simulated what it would look like if you start off a fight with Tingyun ultimate into Anaxa, then Anaxa takes the first turn. In the first turn, you're going to use your skill for 5 enemies. This is going to repeat itself because assuming that you kill 2 of the adds, you're going to repeat itself to 3 enemies, and you're going to have your ultimate immediately. So you're going to fire off your ultimate and hit the 3 enemies. Then let's assume 2 of them already died because you've been doing a lot of damage to them. Then you're going to skill to a single target and then repeat it to a single target, and then ult one more time after that, because you are going to get your ultimate very, very fast with Anaxa, because essentially every basic or every skill adds an extra skill on top of it, and he also gets extra energy in his kit. So he is going to get energy very, very quickly. He's going to fire up ultimates left and right, which is why the wind set is also a very good option for him as well. But I wanted to calculate the quantum damage set, so that's what we're doing. And then essentially you're just going to repeat the process, because now you're fighting against the boss. So single target repeat, single target repeat, and all of these after the first, pretty much after the first flurry of attacks, all of them are going to be dealing true damage, because this is going to assume that you got an action advance from the mem support, and then all of them are going to be dealing true damage. And I'm just going to assume that after a certain while, you're going to break the single target enemy, because Anaxa deals a lot of toughness damage too, which is another team that we can possibly run on Anaxa, which is the super break team, but we're going to discuss that in a later video. But yeah, this essentially just adds 10% damage multiplier to your overall damage by attacking a broken enemy. And this is pretty much what his damage window looks in pretty much half a cycle. So you can essentially do this twice a cycle, and it's perfectly realistic for Anaxa. All right, so now this is our base. This is what we're going to base off everything from, and we're going to deal about 2 million damage in that little rotation there. So again, guys, you are going to be able to repeat this about 1 to 2 times per cycle, depending on how fast your supports are. You're going to be able to repeat this a lot of times in a run. So you're going to be pushing out 2 million damage left and right, essentially multiple times a cycle. So very, very good damage here that we're dealing with Anaxa. Again, guys, since he deals single target AoE, he deals all sorts of damage. Obviously, calculating every single scenario of his damage is going to be a very tedious task. So we're just generalizing here, pretty much making up a scenario in our heads and then basing the damage off that. I am going to have more simulation type calculations later on, but it's just too early. Like, I just started working on this like a day or 2 ago, so it's just going to take a little bit more time. But by the time he releases, trust me, I'll have all the numbers good for you. I'm also trying to help LP work with casters as well, so it's a lot of stuff. So all right, moving on, we're going to go and add the light cone, right? Add his signature light cone. The thing with the signature light cone is that it adds 12% defense ignore. So this allows us to move Pela away from Resolution, Chance, Pulse of Sweat, and then swap it over to the tutorial mission, so that way she has her ultimate more often. One thing this is going to do is allow Pela to ult faster, obviously, which means more weakness break damage. You get to freeze some enemies, so you take less damage. It works really well with the whole sustainless comp. And again, Anaxa's ultimate really helps with this stainless comp. So essentially we get to use another light cone, and we get to keep the 100% defense ignore by just adding his signature. His signature is also going to increase his personal damage bonus by 60%, which is an incredibly high amount. Very good. Again, Anaxa gives himself 30% damage, 28% defense ignore, and 100% crit damage bonus, because he's the only erudition character on the team. So that's where a lot of his crit damage is coming from. The same team, exactly the same team. The only thing that changed here was Pela's light cone, and then down here exactly the same scenario, exactly the same damage window, and our damage went up to 2.17 million, so a little bit more. We are going to have a breakdown of the numbers later on in the video, so I'm just going to run through all these teams, explain to you what was changed, how it changed, and then I'll run over the numbers later on. All right, the next team we're going to look at is adding Sunday instead of Tingyun. Remember, Tingyun is there to give you energy and action advances, and Sunday can do just that. But the difference is that Sunday is going to give you 72% crit damage, 30% damage bonus, 20 crit rate, and then it's also going to give you an extra 30% damage from the Baranya light cone or the past and future light cone, whichever one you want to choose. Past and future is 32% damage, but I chose the Baranya light cone because it's just a good light cone. Again, same damage window, and just by adding Sunday with Baranya light cone, our damage goes up to 2.718. This is just off the bonuses, chat. Remember, now we have double action advance, so his actions are going to actually be doubled. This number doesn't fully represent what's going on here. We are getting double actions here because we have Sunday and RMC, so these actions can repeat 3 or 4 times now because we have Sunday on the squad. So this damage is just off multipliers, has nothing to do with actual simulation runs, and this damage could very much be twice as much. Yeah, don't let this just fool you. It's a lot more than this. All right, playing up the same trope of double action advances, we are going to replace RMC with Sparkle running Dance Dance Dance. This will increase our damage by 15%, give us 48% damage bonus when she has her ultimate active, give us 60% crit damage, and then gives us a little bit of action advance. And this will pretty much decrease our damage because the true damage bonus is very, very good. It's too good. In a lot of cases, so you are going to get almost the same amount of action events. Actually, this team gives you more action events than the RMC Sparkle, than the RMC one. Remember, RMC has a little bit of downtime. Sparkle doesn't really have any downtime, so this is a more consistent way of running it. And this archetype, this team has been or actually this core, this Sunday Sparkle core, has been a thing for a long time, so a lot of people may already have these things built up, and Anaxa just slips right in and is very, very good at it. The damage per this damage window is a little bit lower, but it's going to have more consistency and it's going to have more uptime than any other ones that we've done so far. All right, now we're just going to replace Sparkle with Robin, and this is going to give us 50% damage bonus, 20% crit damage, and around 1,000 flat attack. And our damage is going to go back up to 2.7 million, which is around the same that the RMC one was. But the only difference is that this has even less of a downtime than the RMC one. Remember, if you are trying to finish as fast as possible, you're going to take advantage of speed, and you're going to speed tune your team where Anaxa is going to be a little faster than Sunday. So that way you get double actions on your Anaxa while Robin's Concerto is still up. And that way you can just completely decimate them before Robin even comes out of Concerto. And even if she does, she only has a little bit of downtime, a lot less downtime than RMC. So also Robin performing very, very well. Now for this one, we are going to just replace Pella with RMC, and then this is going to bring up our damage to about 3 million. We don't need the 100% defense ignore. We have about 60% defense ignore as of right now. And our damage actually went up. And again, the whole team gets extra actions. Anaxa gets double actions. RMC gets extra actions with the true damage. So this team also is going to work very, very, very well. You still have an ice character on the team, which means that you can use the Ice Remembers NC to freeze enemies to prevent damage. You can use Anaxa's ultimate to prevent damage. So you really don't need a sustain in this type of team either. So this is another team that actually works very well. The light cones are not right, so we can just swap these real quick. So it doesn't really matter. We can just swap this to like Tomorrow's Journey or whatever. It's fine. All right, and then the next team, we're just going to replace Sunday with Pella in the same team. So we get the defense ignore again, and the damage is about 2.9 million. So you don't really need Sunday either. So essentially, each and every one of these supports has been replaceable, and the damage has not varied that much. This is 2.9 million. We have 100% defense ignore. Very, very good with the Pella and resolutions. And then the last team that I calced here was going to be replacing Pella for Tingyun in this particular scenario. So just in case you don't have Sunday, but you do have Robin, your damage is about 2.7 million with this particular team. I also calculated what the team would look like by adding Anaxa to the Herta team that has Jade on it. So the Herta team with the Jade on it, obviously it's a standard the Herta damage window with the skill, enhanced skill, skill, ultimate, enhanced skill, and all that stuff. So the damage is about 5 million with the Herta here. with this particular team in this damage window. And then if we add Anaxa to this particular team, our damage goes up to 6.6 million. A good reason for this is that Anaxa gives you 50% damage bonus, which is the exact same damage bonus that you get from having, for example, Robin. Robin's skill is 50% damage bonus. Anaxa just gives you that for free, which is very, very good. Also, Anaxa's light cone gives you 12% defense ignore. On this one, we were using Jade's light cone, but it doesn't give you any bonuses. But Anaxa's light cone gives you 12% defense ignore because you implanted some weaknesses, and that is why your damage is that high. You only have 12% defense ignore, but it's also paired up with 24% rest pen and 30% vulnerability, which is why the damage is so good. All right, now for a little summary of what we just went over. If you have all the teams that I tested out here, these were their respective damage outputs, and this is the damage difference from one team to the next, or from one team compared to the base, right? So the adding the S1 yielded about a 15 or 16% damage bonus. Swapping Ting Yun for Sunday gives us about 24% damage increase from the base. Swapping Sparkle for RMC is about 35% increase from the base. Pella, Robin, and Sunday's 46% increase from the base. Sunday, RMC, and Robin is probably the best performing team at about almost a 60% damage increase from the base. Pella, RMC, and Robin as well. So any team with RMC and Robin is going to be a very, very good team, essentially. So if you have RMC and Robin, then that's probably going to be the best hyper carry scenario for Anaxa. And then you can slot in Ting Yun, you can slot in Pella, you can slot in Robin. And then the last thing is Ting Yun, RMC, and Robin. All of these are very, very good. As you may notice, every team that has Robin on it is at least 40% increase in damage. And it's because Robin gives you a massive, massive attack bonus. Branya also would probably perform very well because she does have a 55% damage increase. So but when I have that information, I will put it up. I will put it out for you. And then as far as the Herta team, obviously Anaxa gives you 23% damage bonus increase overall. So for the purposes of Herta's personal damage, not even taking into consideration Anaxa's damage, because I think Anaxa will do more damage than Jade, or actually Anaxa does more damage than Jade. If we separate Jade and Anaxa's personal damage, Herta's personal damage will go up for 23%. So with Anaxa's damage personally added into that, the team performance of this is going to be much, much better. So the damage split between Anaxa and Herta is going to be a little slow, a little less, but the team performance is probably going to end up being better. Not that Herta needs it anyway. She's so strong without Anaxa, but Anaxa is looking to be one of the premier partners for the Herta as well. I'm going to leave this sheet in the description below. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Also check me out at twitch.tv/iSUMMON YT. We go live almost every day. Let me know what you guys think, and until next time, guys, see ya.